Good morning, everyone. My name is Thuch Madhier. I'm originally from South Sudan, and I have 3 questions for you. So I would like you to write down these questions. 3 questions. 1, am I unleashing my full human potential? 2, am I unleashing my full human potential? 2, am I activating other individuals to activate their full potential, human potential? I'll paraphrase that again. Am I activating other individuals to unleash their full human potential? 3, where will I be in 10 years? I repeat, where will I be in 10 years? I want you to sit on those 3 questions as I continue with my story, my journey. 4 years ago, as Anna mentioned, I was amongst the crowd, seated. It was not in this room. 4 years ago, we were at another castle. I don't remember. Young, where was that?
It was in Southport.
So really beautiful place, but this place is more beautiful, I think. So you are lucky, and this room has grown so much. Last, when I was here, we were about 35.
35.
We were 35. And then look at the room. A remarkable growth in 4 years. Hence, my question, where will I be in 10 years? I started my journey very far away from where we are, and most times I don't even know where my journey began and where it will end. But I know one thing. I know where I'm headed. And I know where I'm headed because I was nudged towards that direction. Here. 4 years ago, I came to Nudge Sustainability Challenge. As a young leader, I'm no longer young, as you can see. I came with only ideas, unlike other participants that came at the time. Many of them came from established companies, ready to learn and then go back to their companies and try to shake things up. For me, I was the guy that was taking the whole elephant and tried to shake it up. So how has I fared since then, 4 years ago? I started a social enterprise organization called Rainmaker Enterprise that is creating sustainable solutions for communities that the world do not know about. People in rural parts of Africa that are forsaken and left to the mercy of climate change. Why did I care? From the time I was here 4 years ago, that was the time when sustainable development goals were implemented. Just 3 months before I came to the Nudge Sustainability Challenge, I was at the United Nations General Assembly for the adoption of Sustainable Development Goals. I went there as a young leader invited by the President of the UN General Assembly, but I left feeling disempowered from the UN General Assembly. I was there with Malala and 192 other young people around the world. But the most disempowering thing that made me leave that room, the UN General Assembly room, feeling really disempowered, was how young people are used as a scapegoat or used as posters for sustainability, for sustainable development goals. The only thing they asked us to do was to tweet about what to tweet about what to put on our Facebook, and what to say if we are approached by the media. That really felt disillusioning to me because as a young person, I didn't go there to tweet on behalf of anyone. I went there to take charge and take control of the future that we are missing out on. From 4 years ago to now, the sun below our feet is moving. And it's constantly moving to a point that from climate change, we are now at climate crisis. In only 4 years. 4 years ago, it was climate change. Right now, it's climate crisis. It's no longer climate change. We have moved away from global warming to global heating. Like Pfizer mentioned, that we are at 1.1 degrees at the moment, and that is increasing. I happen to be from a region that is least prepared to deal with this crisis. And I've seen many things. And I'm not prepared to sit back and see those things happen again. So my question to you, the third question, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Do you see yourself as one of those people that is sitting at the back seat, taking the back seat, and seeing the world unfold before you, and let people go through this crisis when the only thing that you can do is maybe tweet about it? Or the only thing you can do is to urge your 5-year-old to go on the street and maybe be part of the people that are on the picket lines? What are some of the actionable steps that you are taking on a daily basis to make sure that climate change and climate mitigation and climate adaptation is part of your daily lifestyle? What are some of those things? For me, the world that I come from, already we have seen what is a parallel universe emerging before us. We are sitting in this beautiful, serene environment. It's really green outside. But where I come from is already very dry. The drought level has reached a crisis level at the moment. And hundreds of people, and thousands of them, hundreds of people are starving every year, and thousands of them are displaced because of conflicts over limited water sources. Here, if you look at the picture behind me, it's a piece of art that was done by a Turkish artist. And that's from South Sudan, actually, the young boy that you see there. In a normal world, what a young man should be doing is kissing your partner. No one should be kissing dirty water. No one should be consuming chemicals. No one should be breathing unhealthy air. No one should go to bed hungry in 2019 and in 2020. But these are realities for millions of people around the world. My organization, Rainmaker Enterprise, is committed to tackling some of these issues, starting with water. Because water is now the difference between prosperity and poverty. 3/3 of the world population is already at risk of lack of water, drinking water. With the rising sea level, what is happening is that a lot of the rise in the sea level now, with floodings that is happening, some of the fresh water that we have is getting contaminated with salty water, and that is coming with some health risks to the people that are least prepared to deal with that. With no health infrastructure, this is becoming a health crisis too. What do you see? That looks like a piece of tire, isn't it? It's actually not a tire, that's a well that people drink their water from. They do that in South Sudan because many children that walk miles to go fetch water from there fall into the open well. And so the community use what I call frugal innovation to be able to put a tire on top so that people don't fall into the pit below them. But this is the water that comes out of that. And that water is responsible for a death that is occurring every 90 seconds. Every 90 seconds, the moment I've been on stage is more than 90 seconds. A child dies of a water-related illness. Think about that. So, knowing all this and knowing my background as someone who was the recipient of what people call humanitarian aid and development and all that, that in itself, like they did to us at the United Nations, to just be there as people who are pressing the button to tweet. Humanitarian aid and development has also disempowered the people that are being served. So when I committed myself to starting an organization, I told myself I will start from the bottom. And starting from the bottom begins with community co-design. Every solution we want to implement must begin with sitting down with the community, decide together, bring them along, and move on to the next step. I'm lucky to be a country that if you go there, you may get baked in 7 days because it's so sunny. You go there, people are tall, dark-skinned because of the sun. That is something, even if you hear about wars and civil war and all that, no rebel group can control the sun. Has there been? Has there been a dictator that has controlled the sun yet? Maybe we will send them to the sun if that is possible. But essentially, our role is harnessing the power of the sun to supply water to communities for community health as well as regenerative agriculture, so that more people have food to eat, more people are employed, more people are living healthier, and we regenerate our environment. This is just the beginning. That is the process that we take. As you can see, we're sitting in a big round circle. As opposed to other cultures where someone has like a head table, African cultures are very inclusive. You sit around together, you discuss the community issues, and you come up with a solution that is shared by everyone. So why not take what is already there? Why would we use our balconies to design solutions that would then may not be relevant to the people that are on the ground? And that's why we decided to choose the holistic approach that we are using now. You see, I didn't just come to this like that. I committed mistakes. Because a child of a wolf is a wolf. And for me, I'm a product of the Western education. And that too made me think like a Western solution provider. When I first came to Thuch 4 years ago, my idea was actually solar lights. That's what I wanted to implement. I wanted to bring this business to people in South Sudan because I thought that's what they needed. But then, because the sand is moving below our feet at such a rapid pace, that was not actually the challenge on the ground. I live in Toronto at the moment. So my solution was designed at the high rise of Toronto. And by the time I reached to the ground in South Sudan, the challenges that are happening had already changed. And so I made it adaptable enough to be able to incorporate what people actually want. So what I'm trying to say is, mistakes will be there for most of you who are starting out on this journey. And I believe for each one of us, we are bound to make mistakes. But I am here to tell you that it is never too late to change tactics. It's never too late to be able to be humble enough and listen to the people that are actually suffering from some of the things that you're trying to address. So this brings me to the point, especially to the participants of this year. I know most of you are people that are working within established companies, and sustainability approach may be different from where I'm approaching it. I'm the visionary, I'm the leader, I'm the driver of all the things that I'm trying to accomplish through Rainmaker Enterprise. So far, we have already installed one well in remote parts of South Sudan. We are serving 3,000 people with clean drinking water. I think Thuch should be very proud of that, no? And we installed this well with participation from the community. It was not us, the community provided the land for us. They provided us with 40 acres to begin with. And then the local government has come on board to give us 200 more, 200 acres, so that we can roll out the next phase of the project to be able to install solar-powered water system that will then supply the communities with drinking water where they are at instead of walking miles. Before I left South Sudan, and I left South Sudan due to the unfortunate circumstances that were happening at the time with the war that has happened in the country. For over 60 years, my country has been at war. And I fled the country forcefully. Canada is one of the best countries in the world. Not to say that the Netherlands is not great. I think the Netherlands is a great country. We have such a great relationship between Canada and the Netherlands, but I think Canada is better, no? Even with all that, with the peace, with the wealth and all that Canada has, I would have loved to be in Canada as a tourist, out of my own will, and not there as someone who went because I didn't have any other choice. I went to Canada on a scholarship program that provides scholarships to refugee students that have done well in their high schools and don't have any other opportunities to continue. I was in Kenya in the refugee camp. I moved to that camp when I was only 15 years old on my own. And since I didn't have anything else to do, I had education to dedicate my life to because I knew that it would make the difference. But I'm 0.001% of the people that made it out of the refugee camp to go to a developed nation like Canada. What my dream is that no one should leave their home forcefully. Migration should be a choice and not a last resort. But with climate crisis that is happening now, migration is a force for millions of people. I know there is a lot of fear in Europe that is rising because of all the refugee crisis that we have experienced. But I would like to tell you, I don't want to be a prophet of doom, but I want to say that the crisis that is coming is bigger than what is already causing the fear. So if you are driven by fear, if anyone in this room is driven by fear of people coming to our borders, then know that we must address climate change. If anyone in this room is driven by a shared humanity that every human being should have the opportunity to be at their own home, stay with this family or have family, and be where they were born and decide to interact with you as another human being by choice, then we must address climate change. So whatever coin you stand on, we must all act. Even Donald Trump, whether he like it or not, it will bite him where it will hurt. That could be his ass. I'm sorry, excuse my language. But that is going to happen. There is no escape to a reality that is beyond human control. This is not someone, I'm not using a remote to say climate change come. This is something that is already happening. And there is no way about it. It's upon you to act. And like Pfizer mentioned before, acting to be a part of a solution is really very important way of actually staying ahead of your game. It's a very important way of not feeling jaded. For me, I never feel bad. Every day I wake up, I'm happy. There are 5 considerations that I want to tell you as you embark on your sustainability journey. Try to listen. And listening is not sitting on top of the hill and asking people at the ground. It's about sitting down with them and listening, and be humble enough to listen to them. Be inclusive. Sustainable development goals should not leave anyone behind again. So in your solutions, at your companies, try your best to be as inclusive as possible. Build collaborations. Make sure that you bring everyone along. Work as a team. Build synergies. No one can accomplish this task alone. It's too big for one person, not even for an ego of Donald Trump. And be courageous. Show up. I will tell you, I have been at stages where, at the UN or at the Canadian Parliament, I show up 100% because I believe what we are addressing is bigger than one human ego. So show up to your CEO, tell him we must be, or her, that we must be sustainable. Or rather, we will wither. Lastly, to be a leader in sustainability, you need to approach it as a systems, not as a silo. And in order to do that, you need adaptability, yet the resolute that is required to stay the course and be consistent as you walk on this path. And lastly, as you do all this, do not be jaded. Have fun along the way. The people you meet, the journey you are on, should be fun. And I think Thuch is one of those that has made it fun for good 10 years. Good 10 years. We have been having fun like this. And with that, let's dance.